Hey guys, this is my first video. I just wanted to talk about something that is pretty popular in the art community today, and I will be using a video created by Hotea, I think is how to say that. This video is basically discussing the matters of blackwashing, and the title of it is Blackwashing is Not Real. So I wanted to give my take on it. I kind of play both sides about it. So I just wanted to talk about pretty much my most neutral opinion about everything. I'm a digital artist. I like to draw my anime women. This opinion of mine is solely based on me just being passionate about art and the way that people perceive art and create it for themselves. This video talks about some artwork made by Kiana Mai. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. She drew the Nintendo characters, the girls specifically, them with like darker skin tones, I guess, like they're different races and stuff. So we're going to be talking about it.
Hey y'all, it's Dana. Welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna say this right off the bat. I am not gonna be extra super nice and sugarcoat everything and be super sweet.
Me either about some things.
Because I'm really fed up with this topic. This is really irritating and I don't need to sugarcoat anything for anybody, in my opinion.
So right off the bat, she's saying that this is her opinion. Just so you guys know, because this is her opinion, I can also have mine. So I can comment on her opinion if I want to, and that's what this entire video is going to be. So just be prepared for that, and I can't wait for the hate comments, I guess. I don't know.
So let's talk about it. So as you can see in the background of this video, I am drawing some mushroom princesses from Mario. Now, I played Mario Kart, so I'm most connected to Daisy, and I know about Peach, but I don't know too much about Rosalina, but all I know is that I like her because she's pretty.
She is an emo space bitch. Peach is the best girl. Debate me.
A really great artist on Twitter, Kiana May, I believe it's Kiana May, I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. She's a very popular artist on almost every platform she's on, but we're specifically talking about Twitter. She decided to draw Princess Peach and Princess Daisy. Really fun, and obviously she drew them how she sees them, so she decided to what people call race bend, which I don't have a problem with that word in itself.
Well, in this video you kind of talk down on race bending, but only it's one-sided, which is whitewashing. So you do kind of have a problem with race bending to some extent, unless you meant just blackwashing.
So she drew Peach as dark skin and kept her hair and made it a little bit more curly. And she also drew Daisy, which is my favorite. She looks light skinned, she has a little fro, and when I first saw this, I loved it.
Honestly, I love all this artist's work, and I think the ideas were done really well, and I could still recognize the characters.
I was so excited because these are characters that I love, and I get to see them look like me, basically.
That's good. That's what art is all about. Expression.
And of course, a lot of people took issue with that because they don't understand what they're talking about.
I mean, everyone has the reasons to disagree with something. That's just what an opinion is.
They started calling them like nigga Peach and nigga Daisy, and they were just saying all this other stuff that's not true, and said, oh, why is this okay, but we can't draw Nessa White.
I knew about this, and I think that's just a slap in the face to the artist, and it was so baffling and disrespectful.
So this is something a lot of racists, or just ignorant people in general, because I don't think everyone who didn't understand is racist. I just think they just don't understand the issue because it's never been brought to their attention, because they've never had to deal with it because they're not black.
I mean, I've seen black artists make videos disagreeing with blackwashing to some extent. Also, it's okay to say that blackwashing is real because it is. I don't think one can exist without the other. You're changing the race of a character, and that's all that there is to it. My 2 cents is that it's important to acknowledge that both exist, because it's also important to acknowledge the issues with both to evaluate what's appropriate and what isn't.
Let's think about why whitewashing is bad. It's not bad just because we said so.
Of course not. I'll agree with you 100% of what you say about whitewashing.
And the reason why it's bad is because of historical context. Everybody's always like, where's the context? Where's the context? And then when you actually need context to prove why something is bad, then they just want to ignore it.
I don't agree with the fact that they ignore the historical context. I think it's more about people thinking that it's fine because blackwashing is fine. That's not a historical view. I just think that's a general look at it that some people could have. Not saying that the view is okay, but I'm thinking of reasons why people might whitewash, you know what I mean?
So let's talk about why whitewashing is bad. It's because it has a very extensive history in the oppression of people of color, specifically Black and brown people. Right? Whitewashing has a very significant history in, number one, keeping Black and brown people out of films and shows and giving them less representation.
If you're talking about the last 20 years to the present, it would have helped you a lot more to give us some examples.
And to taking roles from Black and brown people who already have it really hard in film.
Again, some examples would help prove your point. I'm not disagreeing with you, I just think that it would be easier for people to judge your opinion if you left us more examples and some proof.
In the industry, they take those opportunities away by turning them white.
I have seen this happen, but again, examples would help you. I just want to leave another one of my personal opinions about this, but I couldn't care less if a character is black or if a white character was casted as a black actor in a movie. Starfire, for example, in that one Teen Titans movie that was supposed to come out, was casted to be a black woman when originally she has lighter or tan skin. She's not white, but that's still changing the color of her skin. It didn't bother me. If anything, I thought it was interesting because I liked the take of her just overall design. I'm not offended by any sort of overly diverse shit, and nor do I care. I watch a movie, show, animation, or even read a book because it's entertaining, not for the purpose of seeing a white or a black character. Diversity for the sake of diversity does nothing to prove any sort of point. Yes, it is always good to identify with the character, but if you only choose to identify with the character or see yourself as characters based only on their skin, that in itself kinda sounds racist. I usually see myself as any character that I just relate to struggle-wise or personality-wise, whether it be a darker skinned character or a super pasty pale one. It makes no sense to not look deeper inside a character than the skin tone or make the skin tone a huge issue, especially with the level of diversity that has spiked up in entertainment in the recent years. There's so much more to a character.
So people would rather cast a white person for a black role rather than an actual black person.
Once again, an example would be nice, unless, like I said, you're talking about the past when they would not just literally not hire black actors and stuff.
Or a role meant for a Latina or a person of color, an indigenous person, a brown person. They'd rather cast a white person doing blackface.
Again, examples would make this so much stronger. Like I've had to say about 600 times already, and we're only 5 minutes in.
And this isn't just for black and brown people. Yellowface which is basically hiring a white person to play and dress as a person of Asian descent rather than just getting an actual Asian actor. That is very prominent in what's it called? That is also very prominent in American culture and American films.
Examples, please.
And it is very frustrating because imagine seeing somebody like you for once in your life.
What?
Somebody who means a lot to you because they encapsulate your experience.
It's a different thing to talk about just a skin color rather than the struggles that come from being that skin color. Make it clear what you're talking about.
And then seeing them seeing all of that erased. All of that erased. It's upsetting. It's harmful. And that is why whitewashing is bad, because it has been used to oppress minority groups and it actually has a negative historical context.
Just to be clear, in this video, I will not be saying blackwashing and whitewashing are equally as bad, because they aren't. Almost everything she has said has been pretty much agreeable. I think whitewashing is really bad because it has a terrible historical meaning, especially in this country. But basically for this video, I want to talk about why it's important to acknowledge both.
Colorism is like a really big thing. You saw that in Nessa drawings too. Nessa is a dark-skinned character, a dark-skinned black woman. That is not seen or represented a lot in media.
I don't know if that's right, especially the way that you worded it.
And not really in a positive light, you know? It's usually over-sexualized, or she's defeminized, or it's always she's not a person. It is always a stereotype, it is always a trope, it is always bad representation. Colorism is a big issue, and that's in media, and that's like its whole other video, but that is also a problem.
I don't disagree with this, and frankly, fuck all the people that made Nessa light-skinned and, you know, like just white, I guess, because what was the point in doing that?
So let's talk about it. Does turning a white character black have any historical context?
No.
No. And even if it did, does it have a negative context? No.
Huh? But isn't historical context what makes blackwashing bad?
So we already broke it down. Whitewashing is bad because of historical context and it being used to oppress people. And that still goes on to this day.
Examples.
And even if you don't believe me, do you get mad at gender bending?
No.
Gender bending is a thing that's pretty prominent in art communities, and no one ever takes issue with it. You want to know why?
Sure.
Because women are heavily represented in films.
Yeah, but is that the same as race? I don't know.
Women have their own films. There are entire genres made for women.
I think that's a thing for people of color as well, but you know. Just for the record, I looked at the diversity report of 2019 in Hollywood, and almost all pie charts counting the levels of people of color and whites in movies, TV shows, and others all shifted. It stated that while white presence and stardom in Hollywood remained dominant, they decreased slightly, while black and other races increased slightly. So while I'm not saying the issues with white domination in the industries isn't a thing, it sure is a problem that has been being fixed for years. We in America, we have a lot to work on still, but here's my next point. What's the purpose? Let's listen to some more, shall we?
So of course whitewashing is bad because it reinforces oppressive systems over people of color. So literally stop harassing black artists for drawing their favorite characters black.
Okay, so of course I agree with this because harassing someone over artwork that doesn't harm anyone is shitty. And that's just a general opinion of mine that needs no explanation. But the reason why some people find issues with changing the race of existing characters as odd or out of place is because sometimes it's just not needed. That character was already, and in the instance of Peach, for example, for decades, white. What does it do to change the race of a character that has been white for years? For her, it's been since the 80s. I want to bridge into my main opinion about blackwashing existing characters and why I see it as kinda harmful. I don't necessarily agree with the "this isn't what the creator wanted" argument. It depends on how the creator has expressed their reason for the character. Using Princess Peach, she was created to be an element of a game made solely for entertainment. She was the main goal of the games. Blackwashing her would not harm the creator's visions because her skin color plays no role into her placement for the games. Her being white does not factor into her personality or even her relationship with Mario. But that being said, neither does her being black, and it wouldn't. Let's talk about some other things that I can make you think more about when it comes to race bending. I think blackwashing is really harmful when people do it incorrectly. For example, in the instance of Nessa, some people after whitewashing her would explain it as, quote, fixing her. This is totally wrong and super offensive. But the same thing would be wrong if Nessa was originally white and was, quote, fixed to be black. Keep in mind, I'm only discussing the people who do this solely to make statements about fixing characters racially, rather than expression and creativity. If you see a character and think their skin color makes them bad and it needs to be fixed, you're racist. Period. White character or a Latino character. White character or an Asian character. White character or a black character. Anything. A skin color should never be seen as something that needs to be fixed. If you disagree with this, then you're racist, because that's literally what racism means.
It was so nice to see a character that you connect with look like you. Representation is important.
It definitely is. Thank you, girl.
If you agree that representation is important, then you see why whitewashing is bad and race bending characters is not.
Again, it depends on the reasoning. For Kiana Mai's drawing, I loved it because I didn't see it as her making a statement that the princesses needed to be black, but rather I loved the designs and the general ideas that were created from the artwork. The skin color meant nothing to me personally because I didn't even care about them being white, but I just loved the way that she portrayed them in this way.
But people are like, well, you can't race bend anime characters, right? They're POC, this, that, and the third. And like, if those characters were not anime, then I would agree with you. Anime is a completely different thing. When we talk about anime, it's very different because the context is different.
Agreed, because it's made in Japan, where there's a significantly less count of black/other race characters. Not to say that there is none, but on Wikipedia, it says that as counted in their census from 2018, that almost 98% of Japan is in fact Japanese.
Almost every character you see in anime, yes, they are in fact Asian. Pick any show, literally any show, and look at their names. Of course they're Japanese, and they're obviously the majority. So me drawing Toru from like Dragon Maid is black, that's not taking away representation, because look at the entire genre.
Yes and no. In America, it would be, because Asians are actually one of the lowest represented minority groups in America, lower than black people. If you wanted to do this in Japan, then go ahead, but as an American who is against taking away representation from other minorities than blacks, like you said, that wouldn't be a good thing for you to do. Technically, because you would be inflicting your Americanized version onto a Japanese form of media that became popular in America. Okay, so for this next part, she talks about how Japan is not, in her words, exempt from being racist against darker-skinned characters in the media. Here, she actually finally gives us an example of this oppression.
If you want to look at an example of like taking all the darker skinned characters and turning them into tropes, look at Danganronpa.
Okay, sure.
Aoi Asahina, the love of my life. I love her, but they treat her like a dumb bitch.
And being a dumb bitch is a black thing?
Yasuhiro Hagakure, who was portrayed as a darker skinned character with wild hair.
His hair looks sick, to be honest.
Also treated like a dumb bitch.
Again, yikes.
Sakura Ogami, the darkest skinned character in that game. She is a woman, but she is highly defeminized and treated as disposable.
What does this have to do with her skin color?
Akane Owari, darker skinned character. She is highly over-sexualized, and she is also treated like she's stupid.
Again with the stupid thing, but also it's anime. Like, this might sound weird, but almost all grown or young adult women in anime are over-sexualized, and I don't think that has anything to do with her skin color. There are about zillions of other characters who are hypersexualized in anime, who are also 10 zillions of shades lighter than her. So I don't know if that's racially motivated. I just think that's just anime being more perverted, which is a whole other topic.
That's only 4 characters, and they already fall into some very, very harmful and very, very persistent stereotypes. And that's just one franchise, because all of the other characters that I see are harmful stereotypes that directly affect me, my life, and how people perceive me.
I don't know if anyone has ever judged anyone based on the fact that they looked like a character from something. That's kind of a far-fetched claim.
I live in America. I see how people of color are treated in the media, and I don't like it, and I see how white people are treated in the media, and they are not treated as stereotypes, walking stereotypes. And also that media of white people, even if it is negative, will never portray badly on them as an entire group of people.
Again, just because I watch anime doesn't mean I'm gonna think every Asian person I know is like an anime character. Like, again, it's kind of a weird claim.
I don't know why it's so hard for people to understand that I want to see characters who look like me and who act like me and do not reflect negatively on me just because they're black and they did a bad thing, or that's the way they're portrayed.
Watch more movies, watch more TV, do more, actively seek out those characters. It's not hard. It's 2020. Do it, or even make your own fucking characters instead of changing the race of existing ones. I don't understand the need for this. If you want representation and you're mad at white characters for existing as white instead of black, why would you even want to identify with them if your only stance was on their race? You shouldn't feel the need to try to project yourself onto characters that you don't agree with.
And have you ever noticed that shows that have adequate representation, people don't really feel the need to race bend?
Of course not, because they're getting represented. What's your point?
Like, if you take a show like, let's say like Avatar: The Last Airbender, it had great representation. I'm not indigenous, but I still saw myself in Katara just because she was darker skinned and she wasn't treated like a stereotype.
You realize this is kind of dumb, right? Like I said, it's even more disrespectful to only see race in a character. You're not 3 years old and liking characters only because they're pretty anymore. You're capable of complex thinking, and yet you still only choose to be happy with identifying with characters that are dark. And you're admitting by saying that you only identify with her for being dark and not being stereotyped.
Take Steven Universe. I don't care if you like the show or the story or the staff. You cannot say that that show did not have great body representation.
Amethyst is best girl.
In conclusion, please stop harassing black artists and calling them slurs because they want to feel better represented in media that they love.
I agree. There's no need for that. They're artists. They're creating. It's fine as long as they're not doing it to harm people or to just actively change things for no reason.
And I'm just tired of people acting like this isn't an issue, or people literally just using it as an excuse to be racist.
You're right. Fuck those people.
If anything about the situation of Black Peach, thank you for whittling out who are the racists and who are not.
Yeah, in terms of people saying, me no like because you made her black. They're racist pigs. Agreed.
And thank you for allowing me to find incredible black artists, because we are all pitched in and created this great community and just love and support around each other. I really love that. And if you still think that race bending is bad in general, but like you don't care about gender bending, just admit that you're anti-black.
What? For the record, the fact that I play both sides only says that I am anti-caring about race more than substance, and that is definitely not anti-black. It's not racist for me to not care about the race of a character. It would be racist if I cared about changing the race of existing characters just for the sake of, quote, fixing them. But, yeah, you go, girl, I guess. Anyways, that's all for my take on this topic. I feel like I'm pretty confident and pretty honest with my stance. Let me know what you think about it below. So, yeah. Bye. I don't know how to end that.